The film begins in the chaotic year of 1944, amid the thunderous turmoil of World War II, with the constant sound of gunfire echoing across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. In this dangerous setting, we meet a determined American Marine captain named Ellis, leading his unit through treacherous waters. His group had been brutally ambushed by Japanese forces during a crucial mission, resulting in devastation and loss. In the midst of the turmoil, Ellis barely escapes, eventually drifting alone on a small rubber raft across the endless sea. With nothing but the horizon in sight and weakened by hunger and fatigue, his resolve to survive remains strong. After days at sea, his weary eyes spot a distant island, a faint glimmer of hope. Driven by renewed determination, Ellis paddles toward the shoreline, his muscles aching with each stroke until he finally lands on the sandy coast. After securing the raft among the rocks, he steps onto solid ground, heart pounding, and begins searching for any signs of life. The landscape that stretches out before him is lush, filled with tall trees, vibrant vegetation, and jagged rock formations, but not a soul in sight, intensifying his sense of loneliness. As Ellis ventures deeper into the island's interior, he comes across a modest church nestled amidst the greenery. Its worn structure seems like a beacon of hope in the wilderness. As he approaches, a Catholic nun named Angela emerges from the shadowed doorway, her sudden presence startling in such an isolated location. Surprised by the stranger, Angela freezes, eyes wide with fear. Ellis, recognizing her fear, raises his hands in a peaceful gesture and speaks calmly. "Please don't be afraid. I'm an American Marine. You're safe with me." His gentle demeanor helps ease her tension. When he asks how many others are on the island, Angela softly replies, "I am here alone." Skeptical of her solitary existence, Ellis follows her to a small shelter built from natural materials. There, she offers him a simple meal of fruits and roots, which he gratefully accepts after being adrift for so long. Curious about her presence on the island, Ellis listens as Angela recounts her story. She had arrived with a priest on a mission to rescue elderly clergy from advancing Japanese troops. Sadly, by the time they got there, the soldiers had already taken the priests. With the chaos of war surrounding them, they were forced into hiding. Illness eventually claimed the priests, leaving Angela completely alone. Her community, assuming she had been captured, never came for her, abandoning her in isolation. Moved by her tale, Ellis shares his own. His unit had been decimated in a surprise assault, and he narrowly escaped with his life, drifting helplessly until he arrived at the island. Later, Ellis awakens to find Angela kneeling in the dim light of the shelter, lighting candles and whispering prayers. Her unwavering faith offers her a quiet resilience in the face of the unknown. The next day, the two head out to forage. Their survival now depends on the island's natural offerings. Ellis, using the agility of a seasoned soldier, climbs tall coconut trees and tosses down fruit, which Angela carefully gathers. In need of protein, Ellis notices a turtle swimming in the shallows. He prepares the raft using rope and driftwood, and Angela, eager to help, joins him. They paddle toward the turtle, the waves gently rocking their small craft. The capture is difficult, the turtle is swift, and Ellis ends up falling into the water. Angela helps him back onto the raft, and together they finally secure their catch. Their cooperation reveals a growing sense of mutual trust. Back on land, Ellis prepares and cooks the turtle, the aroma wafting through the air. As they eat, he remarks, "This island has everything we need. Even if no one comes for us, we can survive." Angela, intrigued by his past, asks about his childhood. Ellis reveals he was raised in an orphanage until he was 14, enduring many hardships. Angela, also an orphan, shares how she found peace and purpose through becoming a nun. Despite their vastly different beliefs, her serene spirituality versus his rugged realism, a strong bond begins to form between them. Their fragile peace is shattered the next morning by the roaring of Japanese aircraft overhead. Ellis instinctively grabs Angela and leads her into the underbrush, warning her that being seen could be fatal. He suggests they take shelter in a cave he noticed earlier. Angela nods in agreement, and they spend the day hidden in the dark cavern, the distant rumble of war humming in the air. At dawn, loud explosions shake the island. Ellis cautiously peeks outside and sees Japanese planes bombing the terrain, leaving smoke and fire in their wake. Angela, trembling, clutches her rosary and prays with desperation. Ellis, seeing her distress, gently places his hand on her shoulder and offers comforting words. When the planes finally depart, Ellis and Angela emerge to find their shelter, and the small church reduced to rubble. The island bears fresh scars from the assault. Soon after, a Japanese unit arrives, establishing a weather station and destroying Ellis's raft, severing any hope of escape. Forced to retreat into the cave once more, they observe the soldiers from a distance. Ellis, ever alert, clutches a knife, prepared to protect Angela if needed. Fortunately, the patrol passes without noticing their hiding place. Angela, starving and desperate, suggests surrendering, thinking the Japanese might spare a nun, giving Ellis a chance to flee. She points out that their food supply is nearly depleted, but Ellis, protective and determined, refuses. "We can't take that risk. They could do anything to you. We stay hidden." That night, under the veil of darkness, Ellis slips out and carefully watches the enemy camp from a safe vantage. Avoiding their patrols, he wades into shallow waters to fish, his movements cautious to avoid being spotted. When a soldier notices him, Ellis quickly floats still, pretending to be dead. The soldier eventually moves on. Ellis catches several fish and returns to the cave, where he and Angela share the modest meal. Ellis eats the raw fish eagerly, but Angela, who had renounced fish when she became a nun, struggles to consume it. Her stomach revolts, and she ends up vomiting before quietly retreating to sleep, weakened by hunger. Later, while Angela sleeps, Ellis heads out again. He darkens his face with soot to blend into the night, stealthily infiltrating the Japanese camp. Moving silently, he gathers supplies, canned food and bags of rice. But a nearby soldier forces him to take cover behind some crates. Heart pounding, he waits there, trapped, until dawn. When the soldiers are distracted by training exercises, Ellis seizes the moment to slip away. He hides in the jungle until it's safe to return. Meanwhile, Angela wakes to find him missing and panics, thinking he's been captured or killed. Tears roll down her face as she prays fervently for his safety. When Ellis returns unharmed, Angela's relief quickly turns into anger. "You left without a word," she says, her voice shaking. "I thought you were dead." Ellis, remorseful, promises to never leave again without telling her. Trying to lift her spirits the next day, Ellis presents Angela with a bright flower and a simple wooden comb he carved himself. She smiles at the thoughtful gifts. Curious, Ellis asks if she's ever considered leaving her life as a nun. Angela reveals that she hasn't yet taken her final vows. Nuns have 5 years to make a permanent decision, and she's still uncertain about her future. Ellis, growing more fond of her, silently hopes she may reconsider. Their moment is interrupted when they hear noises. The Japanese are packing up, abandoning the island. Overjoyed, Ellis and Angela explore the leftover supplies, relieved to find food and other necessities. In this quiet moment, Ellis opens up about his lonely childhood and the hardships he endured. Vulnerably, he confesses, "I've fallen in love with you. After the war, please consider leaving your vows and marrying me." Angela, stunned, explains her deep devotion to God and her inability to betray her spiritual path for romance. Though saddened, Ellis respects her answer. "I'm sorry if my words hurt you. Please forgive me." That night, while eating, Ellis discovers a bottle of Japanese sake. After drinking heavily, he becomes intoxicated and, in a moment of poor judgment, dismisses Angela's vows as meaningless. He compares their isolation to Adam and Eve in a primal Eden. Deeply wounded, Angela flees into the jungle. Rain pours down as she collapses and falls asleep in the cold. Realizing his mistake, Ellis searches for her desperately, but cannot find her in the dark. At sunrise, he discovers her unconscious, her body chilled from the storm. He carries her toward the now-abandoned Japanese camp, but upon seeing that the soldiers have returned, he's forced to hide in the cave again. Angela's condition worsens, her breathing shallow and labored. Risking everything, Ellis sneaks back into the enemy camp, stealing blankets and medicine. When a soldier spots him, Ellis kills the man in self-defense and hides the body to avoid detection. Returning to the cave, he changes Angela's wet clothes to keep her warm, administers the medicine, and, despite his earlier skepticism, prays for her recovery. When Angela awakens, she weakly asks who changed her clothes. Ellis gently explains it was necessary to save her life and apologizes for what he said while drunk. She forgives him and their bond deepens. Suddenly, explosions erupt outside. The Japanese, having discovered the dead soldier, are now bombing the island in search of Ellis. Troops approach the cave, shouting, "Come out, or we'll throw a grenade." Faced with death or surrender, Angela prays, believing the end is near. At that moment, louder explosions echo. American Navy planes arrive, attacking the Japanese positions. Ellis and Angela step outside and witness the assault, hearts lifted at the sight of U.S. aircraft. Ellis notices 4 Japanese cannons still active, posing a threat to the landing American forces. "I have to disable those cannons," he tells Angela. "It's the only way to save my men. It's what God would want." Angela, frightened but trusting, nods. Dodging gunfire and bombs, Ellis maneuvers across the battlefield. Despite being injured by shrapnel, he presses on, disabling each cannon with precision. His brave actions save countless American lives. Angela finds him afterward, bleeding and weak. She tends to his wounds tenderly. Ellis, knowing their time is short, says, "Our paths go in different directions now. We may never see each other again." Angela softly replies, "Though I cannot be with you, you'll always be in my heart." The American Navy lands and raises their flag in victory. The Navy captain, astonished to find Ellis alive, had long assumed him dead. Medics place Ellis on a stretcher as Angela follows, offering a silent goodbye. Ellis never pressures Angela about his feelings again, honoring her decision to pursue her life of faith. Angela, in turn, treasures their connection. Their story shows that true love can transcend physical closeness, living on in the heart, even when paths diverge. This powerful wartime drama transcends the typical narrative of survival and danger to explore the profound emotional landscapes of faith, love, sacrifice, and the human spirit. Set against the brutal backdrop of World War II, the story of Ellis and Angela unfolds not only as a tale of endurance and struggle, but as a deeply moving reflection on what it means to truly connect with another soul in the most unlikely of circumstances. Ellis, a hardened American Marine, and Angela, a devoted yet uncertain nun, come from vastly different worlds, his shaped by loss, violence, and a yearning for stability. Hers anchored in spiritual devotion, compassion, and quiet resilience. Thrust together by fate on a desolate island ravaged by war, they form a bond built on mutual trust, cooperation, and the shared pain of isolation. Through each trial, be it physical peril, hunger, or the looming threat of death, their connection deepens, revealing how love can grow even in the harshest soil. Yet, the story does not follow a traditional romantic path. Instead of surrendering to their desires, both characters are forced to confront their inner convictions. Angela must reconcile her growing affection for Ellis with her commitment to her faith and her calling. Ellis, though scarred by trauma, learns to respect and cherish a love that cannot be fulfilled in the conventional sense. Their relationship, marked by tenderness, courage, and sacrifice, becomes a testament to the idea that true love does not demand possession. It simply asks for understanding, honor, and respect. The film also raises essential moral and spiritual questions. Can love exist outside of physical union? Is it possible to love someone and still let them go? Is faith strengthened or challenged by intimate human connection? Through Angela and Ellis, the audience is shown that faith and love are not mutually exclusive. They can coexist in complex, painful, and beautiful harmony. In the end, as American forces reclaim the island and Ellis is rescued, Their parting is not one of despair, but of solemn grace. Their time together, brief, intense, and transformative, leaves a permanent mark on both hearts. Angela continues her path in spiritual devotion, forever changed by the humanity she witnessed in Ellis. And Ellis carries with him the memory of a love that gave him hope in a world that had nearly broken him. This is not just a war film, it is a meditation on the resilience of the human heart. It reminds us that even in times of horror and chaos, beauty, compassion, and selfless love can still take root. And in those moments, we find what it truly means to be alive.